everyone, welcome! If you're new here, my name is Thea and this is Geeky Chic, and it's good to see you. I hope you stick around. If you've been here a while, sup my realtors, how's it hanging? Does that work for me? Anyways, today I'm going to, for the very first time, be doing a story time. I normally feel like most of my life experiences don't warrant a story time. I lead a pretty boring life. And normally when I have something interesting happen to me, it's like, by the way, this happened, and then that's the whole experience. But me and my husband, Andrew, decided to buy a new car. And as we were both pretty young, I'm 21, he's 23, we don't have any credit. We don't really like the whole idea of getting a credit card. We have always bought our cars in cash in the past. We've saved up for them and then bought them when we could afford them. But we recently just moved back to Washington because Andrew started a new job, and so we needed to get a car because at the moment we only had one car. If he was going to be working and I was going to be working, we needed to each have our own car to actually get around and do things. So we're like, okay, let's buy a car. And he has a pretty good job, so we're like, okay, let's buy an okay, decent car. We didn't want to get a clunker that we'd have to worry about breaking down all the time. So we decided to go on Craigslist and look for some cars that we liked on car lots. We wanted to get it from a dealership rather than a private party because then it would be like certified and checked out and everything. We liked Nissans and Hondas and Toyotas, preferably not American cars, just because we've had problems with those in the past and they always seem to break down a little bit easier. They don't last as long. We go to one dealership. We look at our first car. It's a Toyota Camry hybrid, 177,000 miles, more miles than we wanted to spend, but we wanted to, you know, see what the options were, and so we test drove it. We went inside the dealership. They told us a little bit more about it, and they said that, hey, we could give you a pretty good deal. It's already on sale a little bit. It was about $9,500. We have it down to $8,700, I think. They're like, you know what, I think we could probably lower that a little bit more because I know that you're first time buyers. They told us that they could give it to us for $8,200. We're, you know, looking at all the paperwork. We've never financed a car before. We go in, start, you know, filling out some paperwork to see how much we could get approved for a loan. They have us fill out this paper. They say, this is for the bank to just know how much you could get approved for, and so fill this out. So we started filling it out and he's like, okay, sign here. So Andrew raises his pen. He's like, so this isn't like to bind us into buying this car, is it? This is just for the bank to know? He's like, oh no, this is to buy the car. So they had been telling us that we were not locked into anything, but if Andrew had accidentally signed that without questioning anything, we would have been locked into buying that car. Essentially, like, I'm sure we could have backed out of it, but basically they were trying to trick us into buying this car. We get really upset. We're trying to like stay calm, but Andrew's like, hold on, you said that this wouldn't be to buy the car, this is just for the bank. He's like, oh yeah, it's for the bank. So we're like, so we wouldn't be buying the car. So the dealer is like, no, you would be buying the car. He obviously has English as his first language. He knows what's up. He's not confused. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to trick us into buying this car that we did not say that we for sure wanted. We wanted to know some information about it. We didn't say that we were for sure buying it. He's like, okay, let me go get the finance guy so we can talk this over with you. So Andrew turns to me when he's over there. He's just like, this is so skeezy. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. It's so freaking skeezy. So we almost walk out at that point, but the finance guy comes over. He like talks us through it. He's like, okay, well, here's some more information, da 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 da. We're like, okay, well, we need a day to think about it. And they are trying so hard not to let us leave without buying a car. But we didn't want this car. We wanted to know some more information about it and maybe we would buy it. But after that experience, we did not want to buy a car from here anymore. They were so skeezy. So we're like, okay, thanks for the information. We need a night to think about it. They keep saying, well, how about this? How about this? And we're like, no, we need to think about it. We don't want to buy it right now. They're like, so why did you even come in here? Why did you waste our time? We're like, because we want to know our options. You know, we're not going to make this huge investment on a car for something that we don't know for sure if we want. After probably an hour or two kind of just talking to this guy, we're like, okay, we need to go. So we go get in the car, we start calling another dealership, and the guy comes out. He's like, listen, we were talking to our boss in there, and if you buy this car right now, we'll give it to you for $7,700. So that's like $1,500 off the original asking price. So we're like, okay, well that's cool, but like we want to go look at some other cars. This is the first car we've looked at. We're gonna go. So he's like, okay, well I don't know if the car is gonna be here tomorrow. And we're like, okay, well if we decide we want it, we'll call you and we'll see what it is. So we finally make it off the lot. And this is only the first part of this ridiculous car buying experience. So we leave, we go look at a couple other cars that day. These people keep calling us, trying to get us to come back and buy this car. At this point, we've decided it doesn't matter how good of a deal they give us, we don't want to buy from them. The fact that they try to trick us into buying a car, making it so that we couldn't leave, like we felt almost forced into staying there. Like they were gonna really mad at us if we left without them, you know, saying it was okay. We don't answer their calls after the first couple. And we're like, we're just not gonna even go back there, no matter what. It doesn't matter how good of a deal they give us. The next day, which is now Sunday, we go to another dealership, and by the way, all of these other experiences were so much better than that first one until now. So we find a few cars at this dealership that we really like. They're around our price range. We actually like this one. It's a 2015 Kia Rio. Pretty nice, low miles, it's about 35,000 miles. It was a good car. And we drove a few others, but we liked this one the best. So we're like, okay, we'd like to buy this car. They're like, cool, let's go inside and sign some paperwork. So we go inside, we sit down. He's like, okay, so what's your credit like? And we're like, oh, we don't have any credit. He's like, you don't have any credit? We're like, no, we're not big into the whole credit situation. We've always paid cash for our cars in the past. He's like, oh, so you paid cash for this car? Like, yeah. He's like, okay, so we'll try to get you a first-time buyer's deal. So he goes over to his finance guy, comes back after a few minutes. He's like, okay, so we can't really get you a loan. I sent your information off to a few banks that we normally work with, and the fact that you don't have any credit is not a good thing. So you're going to need to get a co-signer. And me and Andrew, we're not a huge fan of that whole thing. We had to have Andrew's parents co-sign for our apartment lease in Portland when we were living there because, again, we didn't have any credit. So we didn't want to ask them again. So we asked him, we're like, okay, is there any way that we can maybe put down a little bit more? I think we can do that right now. We do have an emergency fund if we need to put down a little bit more. He goes back to his finance guy. He comes back. He's like, okay, listen. So we can get you a loan with this other bank. But if we do that, they're going to charge $1,000 to us, the dealership, to give you the loan. So he's like, we're going to have to charge you $500 for a security thing to kind of absorb some of that cost. It's only going to cost us $500 because you're paying $500 for the security. So we're like, okay, well, we like this car, $500, that's not too much, and we'll have a security thing. But here's the thing, if you get this loan, it's going to be 25% interest. So even though we're planning on paying it off in 3 to 4 months, we would be having to pay $700 to $1,000, I can't remember the exact number, in interest just to have this car because we don't have any credit history. If we had been planning on going that full term of the loan, 25% is going to be like $2,500. And we didn't want to pay another $2,500 for a car that was only $9,500 to begin with. So it would have to end up being like $12,000, and that's just absurd, right? So we're like, okay, can we have a minute to think about this, figure out our options? They're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, it's like 2:30 at this point. We're like, can we go get lunch? We're gonna go grab some lunch. So we go, and while we're there, they call us, and the dealer is like, listen, my finance guy said that one of the banks came back that weren't responding earlier, and they said that they can give you a loan without that extra $1,000 that they're charging us for only 15%. And so we're like, done. We'll do that. We don't want to have the whole co-signer deal going on, even though it would get us down like a 4% interest rate. And also we don't have to pay the 25% plus that extra $500 for the security thing. So we're like, okay, cool. We'll do that. We'll do 15% interest. Just buy our car for $9,500. It's all good. We officially buy the car and everything seems like it's going good. Then we go back into another room with the finance guy where we sign some more paperwork, the warranty paperwork. If this happens, they're not liable, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's like 20 papers. It's kind of ridiculous. And so they're like, okay, so we need proof of income. We're like, okay, well, Andrew worked at this last job for a year down in Portland. We're like, okay, how about your current job? Andrew hasn't started, he starts tomorrow. He's like, okay, so do you have like a pay stub? We're like, no. He starts tomorrow, so he hasn't gotten paid for it yet. How about offer letter? We get the offer letter together. It takes a while because he has to like sign in and show it to them, and at first they don't think it's gonna work because it's not official enough or something. They're like, so you don't have a pay stub? I'm like, no, he hasn't started working there yet. They keep repeating things. No one seems to understand. So they finally get that working. They get the loan all the way through, and it seems like we're gonna get it. And then they're like, okay, so we need proof of residency. We just moved back to Washington from Portland less than a week ago. We don't really have a lot of proof of residency right now. My grandfather is actually renting us this place, so it's official, but we don't have as much paperwork as one might have if they were staying in an apartment building. What do you need from us? They're like, okay, well, do you have like water bills or electricity bills or anything like that? We're like, no, because we just moved and we haven't gotten charged for any of this yet. Well, how about internet bill? We're like, no, because we haven't gotten charged for it yet. So he's like so confused as to why we don't have any of this information. We just moved. So eventually he's like, okay, well, how about your bank account? You can get that changed online and it'll show that you have moved and this is your official address now. So we're like, okay. We go into our bank account website and we change our address, and he's like, okay, let's print out a bank statement. But I don't know if this is for all banks. Our bank, however, doesn't create a bank statement with the current address until the next cycle. About 2 weeks ago was our last cycle, so it had our old address in Portland. And so we would have to wait another 2 weeks for our bank to create another bank statement that has our new address. So we're like, okay, well, this isn't working because we can't print out a bank statement. Can we just show you, look, that we changed our address? And they're like, no, because the banks need something more official. So we're like, okay, what do you need us to do? He's like, well, I mean, I guess tomorrow, if you wanted to go to your bank and like have them print out a bank statement with your new address on it, that would be fine. We can do that. We can go to our bank. We can get something official from them. No big deal. So we're like, okay, cool, that's settled. We can buy our car still. He's like, yeah, as long as you get that to me within 4 days, it's fine. So like, okay, we'll pay for our down payment of, we decided on $3,000. So Andrew takes out his debit card. Guy tries to swipe it. He can't log into his debit card swiping machine. Takes a while. He finally does. So we swipe the card and the bank denies it because our bank doesn't accept charges of, I think, over $1,500 without like contacting the bank. And this was like 5 p.m. on a Sunday. So we tried to call them. They're closed. They don't have a 24-hour service where we can contact them and be like, hey, can you approve this please? He's like, okay, well, how about a checkbook? We don't have it because we figured a debit card would work, and people don't carry checkbooks very often anymore, which, by the way, after now, I'm gonna be carrying it with me all the time. He's like, well, a debit card's not gonna work, so you need to go get a checkbook. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll drive the 20 minutes home to get the checkbook, I guess. So I drive home. I don't have my front door keys because, like I said, we just moved back. Andrew's the one who's been carrying them. And I drove home by myself while Andrew waited in the waiting room to make sure they didn't like sell the car to someone else or something. So I had to break into my own house. Luckily, we had an air conditioning unit in the window on the first floor. I mean, there's only one floor, so it's like, it's at a level that I can reach. So I have to take the AC unit out. I fall. I get the condensation all over my dress. I'm wearing a dress, by the way. And then I have to stand up on the air conditioning unit, which luckily is very sturdy. And I have to pull myself into the window in a dress to get my checkbook. So I finally managed to get it, close the window, lock the window, go out the front door, and I drive back to the dealership. So I write the check, give it to them, the car is ours. Finally, we drive it home, everything's good. The next day, I have to go to the bank still to pick up that information of proof of residency. So I get there and they're like, well, it hasn't been 2 weeks, so we can't print out bank statement showing that you live there. I'm like, so how do I show them that we're living where we're living to prove that we live there? And they're like, I don't know, do you have like mail or something that you can show them? I'm like, no, because we just moved, so we haven't got any mail yet. They're like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, cool, so there's no way you can show that we live where we live. They're like, well, there might be something I can do. So she like takes another 10 minutes, works around, finally prints out something that might work. So I take it to the dealership and I give it to the people. There's like no one there. Now that we bought a car, like no one seems to care about us. They're like, can I help you? Like kind of coldly like that. I'm like, yeah, I have my proof of residency. Do you need this? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So they take me back to a financial person. It's a different one than the day before because that person is not working that day, so I have to bring it back to them. And she's like, well, I don't know if this is going to work, kind of snooty. She's like, okay, well, I'll see if the bank will accept this. So she's like, I'll call you if we need anything else, but hopefully this will work and we don't have to figure anything else out. So I'm like, okay, thanks. And she's like, okay, bye. And then they called us again another day and they're like, actually, we can't figure out where you're working. I don't think you gave us the right number, so we have to figure that out. We had to give him a different number to call the place where Andrew's just starting to work to prove that he's working there and make sure that he's actually making the money that he says he's making. And that brings us to now. We bought our car about 3 days ago. So far we have it and no one's tried to come and take it back from us, so hopefully we get to keep it. But overall, we did not have a great experience. That first day when we were actually buying the car at the dealership, it took 5 hours. From the time that we walked onto the lot to the time we actually got to leave with our car, it took 5 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more story times on this channel, then let me know. I will try to come up with some interesting things that have happened to me in the past, but mostly, again, like I said, like, oh, I bought this shirt and the cashier was mean to me. Like, that's how most of my experiences go. So if you want to check out my social media, those will all be linked down in the description below. I have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I try to post at least semi-regularly. Until next time, I'm going to see you guys very, very soon. Bye!